Morning, Councillor Fortini checking in. Good morning.
Good morning, Councillor Fortini. You're coming through clear.
Thank you.
Just for those in the crowd, we have an IT issue that we just need 5 minutes for, and then we'll be ready to go, to make sure those at home can watch this through the live stream as well.
Testing audio microphone check 1 2 3 check 1 2.
Hi, Councillor Keenan. It's Genevieve. Do you want to test your sound?
Good morning.
We can
Good
hear
morning.
you loud and clear. Thank you.
Councillor Medeiros, can you test your mic for us, please?
Good morning.
Thank you. You're coming through clear. Councillor Keenan?
Good morning.
Thank you. You're coming through clear. Mr. Mayor, we're ready to go.
Great. Apologies for that technical delay. As we begin today's meeting, we'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered here today on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, and before them, the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Huron, and Wendat. We also acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and other global Indigenous people that now call Brampton their home. We are honored to live, work, and enjoy this land. Please all rise for the singing of our national anthem, to be followed by a moment of personal reflection.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for stand on guard for
Thank you. Welcome to our regular council meeting of July 10th, 2024. I see all members in the chamber here, Councillor Santos, Vasante, Brar, Paleshi, Singh, Tor, and Power, I believe online. Councillor Keenan, are you online?
I am, yes.
Councillor Medeiros, are you online?
Yes, Mayor.
And Councillor Fortini, are you online?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we have all members of council present today. We're now at item 2, approval of the agenda, and the clerk has shared with me there's a number of revisions. I'll have her go through those revisions, and then if anyone else has any other amendments.
Through Mayor Brown. The following items were included in the revised agenda, published yesterday at approximately 5 p.m. 4.1, minutes from the City Council meeting of June 26th. The minutes were published. 4.2, the minutes from the special meeting of July 8th were published. The delegation, 7.2, from Sean Rice, Acting Inspector of Road Safety Services, Peel Regional Police, was published. 7.3, delegations regarding downtown Brampton Food District. There are 2, Mohammed Hanif, owner of Value Assets, Inc., and Gagandeep Singh Gill, food vendors. That was published. Staff update, government relations matter was published. Staff report, expropriation of lands for the downtown Brampton Flood Protection Project was published. Attachments added. 10.1.2, staff report to stop up and close and surplus declaration of portion of Lagerfield Drive right-of-way. Revised attachment 2 was published. 10.3.1, a staff report regarding approval of the 2024 development charges background study and bylaws. Report was published. 10.6.1, staff report regarding a request to begin procurement for the design, implementation, support, and maintenance for the advanced traffic management system was published. 10.6.2, a staff report regarding a budget amendment and request to begin procurement for intersection cameras and implementation. The report was published. Discussion regarding planning matters in mature neighborhoods. The item was published. This was deferred from the July 8th special council meeting. 15.2, a notice of motion was added in regards to City of Brampton public nuisance bylaw. There was another notice of motion published as well, but I think it was on the original agenda. There were a number of bylaws, 11024 through to 11724, as well as 126-2024 and 127-2024 were published with bylaw titles updated. And that's it for the revisions, but I believe there are other items to be added yet.
Thank you. And I see on my list, Councillor Brar has a request to add the Brampton Youth Cricket Association League. And she spoke to me about having them up first, given that many of them have to go back to camp or academic activities. Is that correct, Councillor Brar? So the clerk will look at the first opportunity to have that presentation. We also have from Councillor Vicente, Brampton Rising Stars announcement. Sure. This is the list the clerk's prepared for you of who put this request in advance. Brampton Rising Stars announcement, and then the Brampton Fiesta Extravaganza from Councillor Santos. But I understand they may need some additional time because they're not here yet. And then we have a large list of other additions. Councillor Vicente, followed by Tor, Peleschi, and Brar. And Keenan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to request that we add an in-camera discussion item regarding a unassumed roadway. I believe the city solicitor can provide the reasoning for the request and for us to go in camera.
Through the chair, I've discussed the matter with the councillor, and this can go into closed under the exceptions for proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land, C, or as well as legal advice under F. And this is a matter relating to a private road.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Tor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to add an additional item I've sent to the clerk's office. It is a delegation from, I think they have it up there, from Duca Impact Lab in Orboro.
Okay. And we also have Councillor Peleschi on the board.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to add a discussion item around parks, playground surfaces. And just to advise, I'll be looking to defer the stop up and close surplus declaration portion of the Lagerfield Drive right-of-way when that item comes to us.
I don't see any other, Councillor Keenan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to add a delegation from TED Regeneration related to 8.1 government relations with the encampment update, as well as I would like to defer item 13.1, the discussion item for planning matters in mature neighborhoods to the next committee or council meeting.
Okay, so we have the list of all the amendments to the agenda. I have a motion moved by Councillor Santos, second by Councillor Vicente, to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to declarations of pecuniary interest. Does any member have a declaration of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act for any matter to be considered on today's agenda? Seeing none, the clerk will so note. Adoption of minutes. We are now ready to move to the fourth item on our agenda today, which is minutes. Minutes 4.1, City Council, June 26, and minutes Special Council, July 8, 2024. Do any members have questions or comments regarding the minutes? Seeing none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Brar, second by Councillor Peleschi, to approve the minutes as published and circulated. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to our consent motion. Council, as a part of our consent motion process, I'll read out each agenda item that is subject to the consent motion. Any member may verbally identify the item to be held for debate. Any item not held for debate will be considered as part of the consent motion voted on for approval. 8.1, Government Relations Matters. Hold. 10.11, Staff Report, Expropriation of Lands for Downtown Brampton Flood Protection. Hold.
Oh, no, first.
Oh, okay. 10.12, Lagerfield Drive right-of-way, held by Councillor Paleski. 10.13, Staff Report in regards to the expropriation of lands for road improvements, Williams Parkway. Staff Report for reapproval 2024 development charges, background study and bylaws. 10.32, Staff Report, Municipal Funding Agreement with AMO, Canada Community Building Fund. 10.41, Staff Report, Downtown Revitalization Streetscape Project Update. 10.61, Staff Report, Request to begin procurement, design, implementation, support, maintenance for advanced traffic management system.
There's changes. Maybe hold it.
Okay. Held. 10.62, Staff Report, Budget Amendment to request to begin procurement intersection cameras implementation. 12.1, Minutes, Planning and Development Committee, June 17th. 12.2, Minutes, Planning and Development Committee, July 8th. There's a discussion to be held for planning matters, mature neighbors. That's actually been deferred again, okay? Correspondence from Colin Best, President of AMO. Notice of motion, Councillor Santos. This is held. Notice of motion, Councillor Santos, the nuisance bylaw, held for discussion. Referred matters list. Closed session minutes, City Council, June 26. 19.2, report disposition of property, open session resolution required. Report update downtown redevelopment, 19.3. 19.4, votable update committee of adjustment, hold. Okay. And 19.5, Councillor Vasanti is held. Okay. The clerk will summarize items to be included on the consent motion for approval.
To you, Mayor. The following items are included on consent. 10.1.1, report regarding expropriation of lands for downtown Brampton flood protection. 10.1.3, 10.3.1, 10.3.2, 10.4.1, 10.6.2, 12.1, 12.2, 14.1, and 16.1, and closed session matters 19.1, 19.2, and 19.3.
Councillor Keenan's on the board. I don't see it on my.
I see it.
But it's from before.
Okay, Councillor Keenan. Okay, it's down. Thank you, Councillor Paleski. Okay, so I have a motion moved by Councillor Singh, seconded by Councillor Tor to approve the consent motion. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, this takes us to announcements, and we have amended the agenda to have the Brampton Youth Cricket Association presentation as requested by Councillor Brar. And as you know, I love all things cricket, so I am very happy to hear this initiative today from Councillor Brar to recognize some young cricketers. Councillor Brar, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Thank you, Mayor Brown. I'm going to have Derek come down and just talk about our Brampton Youth Cricket Association. And you can come over here. You have 2 minutes.
Right here? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, first of all, thank you for having us. It's an exciting year for us having launched the Brampton Youth Cricket Association. This year, we started with 4 teams in 2 age categories, under 11 and under 13, representing different neighborhoods. I was born and raised in Heart Lake, and it's exciting to be coming back and having these youths playing cricket in my hometown. And just to see the development of the facilities in Brampton, we saw, cricket nets, and of course the beautiful cricket fields that we're able to use. We want to thank, on behalf of all these youngsters, thank you, Mayor Brown, and especially Councillor Paleshi and Councillor Brar, Councillor Santos, who are in your ward as well, playing at Chris Gibson. But thank you so much for your support of this sport.
Now, I believe Councillor Brar has a certificate she's going to present when you finish your presentation to recognize your Youth Cricket Association.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Brown. Just want to comment a little bit. So I want to say thank you to the Ontario Cricket Academy for your commitment to growing youth cricket in Brampton. And when you look around the room and you see young kids coming here and they have the cricket jersey on, it makes you really proud of them. And they're so excited to be here. And I just want to say first, with opening the indoor youth cricket hub in Ward 2, and now with the start of the Brampton Cricket Youth Cricket Association, we are so proud of all the work you've done. And we've heard many times that Brampton is the cricket capital of Canada, and our young players are a growing part of the larger cricket community in Brampton. So I just really want to say thank you for everything that you do. Thank you to all the children who are getting involved. And I know they're having so much fun because you see the smiles on their face when they're coming in. And I know they're pretty excited to have that picture with us. So if I can request Mayor Brown and council members to come and have that picture with our youth.
Absolutely. If I could just add, this really encourages me that we've got the youth cricket flourishing in our city. The city just launched our own youth cricket leagues as well. We've opened the first 2 dedicated youth cricket fields. The third one coming. It happens to be coming in wards 2 and 6, so we're going to continue to expand that infrastructure. I've had a chance to meet a number of international cricket legends, and I always ask the question, how can Canada compete one day? I looked at that parade in India when they won the T20, and I think it was the biggest parade in the world, celebrating that T20 World Cup victory. But when I asked Yuvraj Singh, when I asked Wasim Akram or Shoaib Akhtar or Rashid Afridi, what would it take for Canada to compete with the biggest countries in the world when it comes to cricket? And they all had the same response: invest in youth cricket. It has to start when you're 5 or 6. It has to start when you're young. So we hear organizations like yours taking that on through your own initiative. That's a beautiful thing. And on behalf of the city, I want to say thank you. Thank you. now that the youth cricket players can go back to camp, we wait the room to be cleared. I'm not sure if anyone saw the video, but we had the captain and vice captain of Canada's cricket team at the charity golf tournament, seeing if they could hit a golf ball with a cricket bat further than a driver. So that was a fun little contest we had. They hit it pretty far. Yeah.
Yeah, they left you really far.
Our next item is something that's very personal for me, and that is starting Bill Davis Day in Brampton. And we have Neil Davis, the son of the late Bill Davis, here in the chamber. And I think in Canada it's important that we remember our history. And the late Premier Davis, I think, was the greatest example of decency and vision, and I think the finest public servant this country has ever seen. On July 30th, 1929, he was born in Brampton and lived the entirety of his life on Main Street. And so there's obviously a very special attachment to Brampton. You know, just last week I was talking to former Toronto Mayor John Tory, and he said everywhere in the world that Bill Davis went, regardless if they knew of Brampton or not, he would mention Brampton 4 or 5 times in a speech. I want the next generation, our city, to know about the contributions of this extraordinary individual. And so I hope that each year on July 30th, we can recognize Bill Davis Day and look at things we can do around the city to celebrate it. Beyond the proclamation, I hope, his autobiography by Steve Paikin can be showcased in our libraries. I hope that the video that we had from celebrating his contributions, we gave him the key to the city presentation, could be played at Garden Square. Any opportunity to really use this day to highlight his contributions to Brampton history, but Canadian history. And I think there's still a lot of people that don't know how extraordinary his contributions were, whether it was creating the college education system, appointing the first woman to cabinet in Ontario history, creating the Ministry of the Environment when that had never been done in Canada. The notion that we take care of our environment was his initiative, some of the most progressive labor laws in our country's history that still last today, or the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The premiers were deadlocked, and he managed to put a deal together with the late Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau that gave us the gift of the Charter. These are just a few illustrations of what was one of the most accomplished lives that we've ever seen. So I have a proclamation that I will read out, and then we will present to Neil Davis. And Neil, if you want to say a word on behalf of your late father, feel free. The microphone will be yours. Bill Davis Day. Whereas the Honorable William Bill Grenville Davis was born on this day in 1929, Mr. Davis will be remembered by many as 18th Premier of Ontario, who served 13 years, from 1971 to 1985. Prior to this, Mr. Davis served as member of provincial parliament for the riding of Peel from 1959 to 1967, and the riding of Peel North from 1967 to 1975. Under his leadership, Mr. Davis established the Ontario College System, the Ontario Institute for Studies and Education, and 4 new universities in our province: York, Laurentian, Brock, and Trent. He also created the TV Ontario Network and was steadfast in his commitment to save the French school board system and extend public funding for the Catholic school board system to the end of high school. In November 2019, Mr. Davis was presented Brampton's Key to the City, a symbolic honor that a municipality bestows upon a highly valued member of the community who has made an impact on the lives of our residents. Mr. Davis is affectionately known as Brampton Bill, was our most beloved resident in Brampton, Ontario's most successful premier, and the definition of decency. His legacy is one of profound accomplishment. I, Mayor Patrick Brown, on behalf of Brampton City Council, do hereby proclaim July 30th, 2024, and each year to follow as Bill Davis Day in the city of Brampton.
Mayor, I was invited to come and receive the proclamation, and I asked if I could say a word or two. If my father was here, he wouldn't have asked. He would have just gotten up. He loved this city. As you mentioned, he lived here all of his 92 years. And John Tory's right. Every speech he ever gave, he mentioned Brampton not once but many times. It's because he cared about this community. And I had an experience recently where what you said about sort of his memory in this community is changing because the community is newer and growing. What he offered, mind you, has had a lasting and will have a lasting impact. But it'd be nice to be able to explain what it was about. And I had an experience where our family had, for a number of years, offered a prize, an honorarium, to the winning school in the mock trials at the courthouse. And I went down and had to explain who I was, and I said, I am the only Grenville Davis lawyer in this city who does not have a courthouse named after him. And I explained some history of my grandfather and my father, because my grandfather had a long and important history here as well. And and you've explained this, but the naming of the courthouse, quite frankly, came about because my father was asked to allow his name to appear on the courthouse. And he said he wouldn't do it unless they put his father's name. His father had been the true lawyer, quite frankly. He was 33 years Crown Attorney when he was the only Crown Attorney. We probably have 150 now. And so the government looked at my grandfather's history of what he had contributed to the law and to his community, and they were very pleased to put both names. That being said, I was speaking to these young folks who had participated in this mock trial exercise and was there to hand out this modest honorarium, and recognized that they didn't know either. And I offered up that you could at least Wikipedia my father and you will find some things about him. And all of that to say, and we're not celebrating today, but we will a year from now, I hope, a very lovely, elegant, I hope lasting piece of work across the road. And I'll be back, hopefully, to say a few words with you that day. But it does show that I think a number of you probably did not meet my father. That was his loss to not meet you. Your loss also to not have met him. You would have enjoyed each other's company. And so I appreciate that this day is going to be recognized. And on behalf of the family, and the family is my mother of almost 91 years, the 5 kids, their spouses, 12 grandkids, now 4 great-grandkids, the youngest born about 6 weeks ago, named William. 2 more to come this summer, and many more after that, I expect. So on behalf of all of the family, I want to say what an honor it is to be here to receive this proclamation as an acknowledgement of what he meant to this city, his province, and his country, but also what his country, his province, and his beloved hometown meant to him. So thank you very much.
I'm going to ask members of the council to join me as we present this proclamation to Neil Davis. And no pressure, Jason or Kelly, but let's make sure we have a wonderful celebration on July 30th, highlighting this extraordinary statesman. Thank you. This takes us to our next announcement, which is Columbia Independence Day. Columbia Independence Day occurs on July 20th every year. It's an annual celebration that marks the country's liberation from Spanish rule. On July 21st, 2024, the Columbian flag will be raised at Brampton City Hall to commemorate this important day in Columbian history and celebrate the culture and roots of the Columbian diaspora. Throughout the day, there will be cultural performances in recognition of Columbia's Independence Day in Ken Willen Square. Brampton residents are encouraged to join the celebrations at Ken Willen Square July 21st from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. And I believe they're having a great run at soccer this year too, at the Copa America, so lots to celebrate. So I hereby proclaim July 20th as Columbia Independence Day in the city of Brampton. Any member of council, I'm not sure, Councilor Vasante or Santos, were you involved in arranging this? No, okay. Okay, so is there a representative here from the, oh yes, okay, great. Well, would you like to say a word about the proclamation? And did they really win their last game 5-0? I don't know.
Yes, 5-0. We
I
played tonight.
I didn't know they scored that many goals in
And we
soccer.
played tonight against Uruguay.
Okay.
So it's going to be a nice one. So I want to thank everybody that's here for giving me the opportunity. I'm very proud to be Colombian, and I've been living in Brampton in the same home for 35 years. So I'm very proud to be Colombian. I'm very proud to live in Brampton, and I wanted everybody to share our Hispanic culture.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Anything special to look forward to at the flag raising?
Oh, we have a lot of things going on. We have a live band, we have a DJ, we have Colombian dances, cultures. We have a lot of things for the kids. We have lots of Spanish, Colombian food, Dominican, and Salvadorian food. So you're most welcome to come. And it's July the 21st at Ken Williams Square, and it's from 1 to 10 o'clock at night.
Okay, wonderful. We have this proclamation for you. Would you like
you.
a photo with the proclamation?
Sure,
Okay,
thank you.
that's good. Okay, because we only have one meeting in July, or I guess we had a special council meeting too, we have lots of proclamations today. It's National Drowning Prevention Week. The Life Saving Society designated July 21st, 27th as National Drowning Prevention Week to focus attention on drowning prevention and water safety. The residents in the city of Brampton need to be aware of water safety, including drowning risk and water incident prevention. The city of Brampton is steadfast in its commitment to provide residents the tools and resources required to prevent drowning in our city. Most drownings are preventable in a water-smart community, and only through water-smart education and a healthy respect for potential dangers that any body of water may present can we generally enjoy the beauty and recreation opportunities offered by these bodies of water. Residents are invited to attend the Water Safety Community Event on Saturday, July 27th at Professors Lake Beach to learn more about drowning prevention and participate in water safety activities. I'd also note it's very encouraging to see that our recreation department has been really increasing the Learn to Swim programs, and I know there's been some social media of some new opportunities to learn to swim that the city is hosting, so that is great.
It's an event at Professors Lake.
Yeah, Councilor Power, would you like to speak to that? I don't think, I don't think we have a representative here from the National Drowning Prevention Week. Okay. Okay, so thank you. Our next proclamation is Emancipation Day. We have another one of these too. Emancipation Day. August 1st is an important day in Canadian history that marks the liberation of African people and their descendants from slavery. On August 1st, 1834, the British Parliament enacted the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833, which marked the end of slavery of people of African descent across the British Empire, including Canada. Emancipation means freedom. The Black Youth Empowerment Advocates of Peel's mission and vision aligns with emancipation and upholds the value of our city in supporting youth by giving them the freedom to have a voice and take on leadership roles within their communities. On this day, we encourage all to reflect, educate, engage, and celebrate the liberation of African Indigenous people and the ongoing global efforts to abolish slavery's legacy and the systemic racism that continues today. For over 400 years, people of African descent endured and survived the transatlantic slave trade, which included French and British colonies. The Black Youth Empowerment Advocates Appeal will celebrate this day by providing youth with a platform to express what emancipation means to them, allowing the larger community to understand and appreciate Emancipation Day through the lens of Black youth. I want to note that it was the city of Brampton last term that designated an Emancipation Park to be a symbol of celebrating freedom. And this year, I believe there'll be an unveiling of, looking to Kelly, unveiling of a monument or art at the park on August 1st. So this is going to be a special year where one of the commitments we made to the community that would be included in the park will be unveiled. Is there a member of the Black Youth Empowerment Advocates Appeal? Okay. Please come forward, and if you'd like to say a word, the floor is all yours.
Good morning, Mayor Brown, members of council and others. I am Mona Walrond, and
I'm Alison Robinson.
we are two of our three directors. The third one is Tricia Dennis. She couldn't be here today. On behalf of our organization, Black Youth Empowerment Advocates of Peel, we are expressing our gratitude for this incredible opportunity that you have made available to us. Our organization sees unlimited possibilities for growth and personal development for Black youth in a space where their voices are heard, respected, and valued. And they have participated in both the unveiling of the park, the new name Emancipation Park, and in a number of Black History Month programs, and involved also with the police youth, Black youth program, which was giving them a voice. So we are very grateful, and we want to say thank you to everyone. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. There's been a request for a photo, so we can ask council to join me for a photo. And thank you,
Yes, please.
Garnet. I know you've been working on this celebration, and Garnet's helping us at the city, but as a former council member himself.
Yes.
And while we're being seated, I'd be remiss not to acknowledge Erica, who's here, who's been a superstar, and Morris and Cindy, who've worked on supporting this annual celebration of freedom in the past. So we got some incredible members of the staff team here at the City of Brampton. Just thought I would highlight those three who are here with us today. This takes us to announcements. There's no other added announcements, and added proclamations, right? No. So this takes us to Brampton Rising Stars, is that correct? Followed by the Fiesta Extravaganza. So, Councillor Basante is the council sponsor for Brampton Rising Stars. Over to you, Councillor Basante. It's Councillor Brar. Oh, Councillor Brar does.
Thank you. We'll just have Reverend Blessing maybe come up to the podium and take a couple minutes. Thank you, Mayor Brown.
Hi, good afternoon, Brantino. My name is Reverend Blessing Ajayi. We are very, very proud and honored to stand before the council and the committee member to present Brampton Rising Stars from Black Community Canada TV. It's a very exciting program. We are happy to present this, and we want to announce that Brampton Rising Star is coming up starting this August, and we are channeling people from different communities to the city of Brampton. That's my heartbeat. And a lot have registered, so I want all support as my teams. We are working very hard. We are not sponsored, and we are pushing it, and it's taking place as Rose Theatre. So I want the support of the community, the city council, announce it, social media, anything, sponsorship, anything you can do. Let's bring Brampton and make it proud. So we'll watch the video and see more, hear more of it. Thank you.
Hello, Brampton. Get ready for the ultimate talent showdown in the city. Brampton Rising Stars coming to you live in the city of Brampton. We're on a mission to uncover the next big thing that will happen in this city. Our city's got talent, and we're here to give them the platform to shine. Oh, mark your calendars. 7th, 14th of August for the audition. And on the 21st of August, we'll be live at the iconic Rose Theatre for the grand finale. The registration commenced on the 18th of May and closes the 25th of July. Kindly register at www.bramptonrisingstar.ca. Get your tickets, bring in your ridings, bring in your families, and let's make it a big event for the city of Brampton. The grand finale of this wonderful event comes up on the 21st of August at the iconic Rose Theatre, and the time is 7 p.m. Tickets are available at tickets.brampton.ca. Brampton on stage, box office. Join us as we raise the next generation of stars. Brampton Rising Stars. It's time for the stars to rise.
This event is brought to you by BCC TV and powered by Joa Studios. Brampton Rising Stars. It's time for the stars to rise.
That's exciting. Reverend Blessing, thank you for the presentation today. We'll share that on social media and let people know about this exciting competition. Now, Councillor Brar and Pleshy, I know you're very proud of your resident here,
Yep.
but you cannot compete in this because you have to be between the ages of 10 and 29. So save your singing for the shower, and we look forward to seeing the next rising Brampton star. Thank you for being here today.
Can I have a photo?
Can we have a picture?
Yes, request for a photo. Yeah. Okay. Our next announcement, over to Councillor Santos for the Brampton Fiesta Extravaganza.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Halina at Makasaya sa Fiesta Extravaganza, which means join us and let's have a lot of fun at Fiesta Extravaganza this coming weekend. And we have Fiesta Extravaganza here joining us today to share a few more words about the announcement this morning. And while they're going down the stairs, if you could just share whether or not there's going to be enough ubi ice cream for the mayor at this festival, celebrating Filipino culture, that would be great.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and the honorable member of this council. My name is Vaughn Canton. I'm the CEO and founder of the Fiesta Extravaganza Canada-wide. So today we have 9 cities celebrating this fiesta, sharing the rich culture and heritage of the Filipino-Canadian community. So this year, this weekend, we will have it in Brampton at Chingusi Park. And it's going to be a big one. And this is the beginning of an annual celebration of the biggest Filipino-Canadian celebration or summer festival here in the city of Brampton. Together with me is Tommy De Gea. He's the organizer and the president of the Philippine Faces Incorporated. You want to say something?
His Worship, Mayor Patrick Brown, honorable members of the council and audience, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. The Philippine Faces Incorporated was founded as a non-profit organization promoting festivals, arts, culture, entertainment, and sports. So that's why we're here, and we moved to Brampton to make this event happen. On Saturday. I can't say anymore. He said everything already.
And of course, we want to invite everyone to join us. When we say big, it's big. We are looking around 20,000 people here this weekend.
I think huge is the right word.
Huge, okay. So yeah, we invite everyone here to join us. I think we have a video clip that will be played to promote the Brampton.
The Traveling Filipino Festival is back.
I think this is 2023.
Canada Fiesta Extravaganza year 2023 in giving our Kababayans and other race and ethnicity as well a taste of Pinoy culture, tradition, entertainment, a variety of foodie goodies, and a bunch of souvenirs. Well, join us for the Canada Fiesta Extravaganza 6 years strong, an event that unites the Filipino community together, bringing the experience to Toronto, Vaughan, Niagara, Hamilton, Montreal, and now in Surrey, British Columbia, and Miramichi, New Brunswick. This year's celebration of the Filipino heritage is like Miramichi, and let me use the phrase, it's more than you ever expected and never less than you can imagine. Join us this year in a whole enchilada of Pinoy Fiesta treats. It's epic. Canada Fiesta Extravaganza 2023. I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Okay, we would like to apologize. I think the video played was last year. And like what I said, we added now the city of Brampton as the 8th city, and then together with Lethbridge, Alberta. So I hope next time we have the latest one. But anyway, thank you so much, everyone. That's the basic highlight of what we celebrate nationwide. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Two tough questions, but fair.
Sure.
Will there be Hello Hello?
Lots.
Always.
Will there be karaoke?
I will do the karaoke for you.
Okay.
We can do it live.
We're live.
I look forward to being there. It is at Chinguzi Park, and I know Councillor Santos has been quite involved, and Anne, in supporting this event. So we're excited to have it in Brampton for the first time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, big shout out to Jorianne for really helping out from the mayor's team. As the first Filipina elected in Peel Region and City of Brampton, I'm so honored with the work that our community is doing to really celebrate and highlight our culture, which happens to be one of the fastest growing communities in the region of Peel and the City of Brampton. And I also want to acknowledge that there's going to be incredible music and dancing, the way that Filipinos always do. And if you were at the Hello Hello party on June 12th, that's just a sample of what you're going to also be seeing on July the 12th. Or July 13th and 14th, and we have a band, a local band that's here for the first time in Canada from the Philippines. They're going to be celebrating as well, and we also have certificates for the organizers, so would also like council to join in a photo, and hope that folks will stop in Chinguzi Park. Councillor Power, your ward, thank you for hosting our community there, and Councillor Fortini, and thank you, maraming salamat. I look forward to dancing and singing with all of you on Saturday and Sunday.
Thank you. That's our last announcement. We had a lengthy list of announcements today. This takes us to public delegations. Do we have any public delegations?
One, possible delegations regarding Stop Up and Close, the Lagerfeld Drive report. I don't see anybody online that wishes to delegate regarding that.
Okay, this takes us to 7.2. Do we need a motion? I guess.
No.
No, okay. 7.2?
Yes, this is the Peel Regional Police.
Okay, we have a notice of motion too for the City of Brampton Public Nuisance Bylaw. Was that Councillor Santos, if I recall?
Yes, so the police are here to speak to that motion.
Okay, great. We'll have the police speak to this, and I know we can move the motion forward if you want to have it on the screen for the purposes of appreciating the delegation. Nuisance bylaw. Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much, and thank you to council. My name is Sean Rice. I'm the acting inspector in Road Safety Services of Peel Regional Police. Road safety is something that we take very seriously. It's one of the pillars of our community safety and well-being framework, which is our guiding philosophy of our organization. Curbing illegal street racing and stunt driving remains a top priority for us. We have many strategic and targeted enforcement initiatives designed to address this type of behavior on our roads. As we know, it can have tragic implications for our community. Since the start of 2024, 16 people have lost their lives in Peel Region due to road-related incidents. All these deaths are preventable. One preventable death on our roads is too many. In the first half of this year, Peel Regional Police have issued over 21,000 Highway Traffic Act offense charges. This includes 4,200 for speeding, over 400 for careless driving, over 1,300 for mufflers causing unnecessary noise, and over 900 for stunt driving and racing. We realize car rallies and takeover events continue to be a public safety concern in Brampton and across Peel Region. Takeover events are dangerous activities that usually consist of an area of road or parking lot being taken over to perform stunt driving and street racing. Between May 29th and June 24th of this year, Peel Regional Police were required to attend and conduct enforcement at 21 car rallies and takeover events in Brampton. At some of these rallies, fireworks and gasoline were used to excite and encourage unruly behavior. These events pose a great public safety risk for our residents and our community. Despite our consistent efforts to enforce and raise awareness on the dangers of street racing and stunt driving, Peel Regional Police welcomes additional measures from municipal partners, such as the City of Brampton, to deter and curb this type of behavior. In April, the City of Vaughan made specific amendments to an existing bylaw targeting street racing and car rallies, which has essentially eliminated the car rallies in their area. On May 29th of 2024, a York Regional Police officer covertly attended a small car rally consisting of approximately 30 vehicles, resulting in 42 bylaw AMPS charges being laid. AMPS being the Administrative Monetary Penalty System, totaling $38,000 in fines. This was Vaughan's first car rally of the year after the bylaw was implemented. Peel Regional Police believes that similar additions to existing public nuisance bylaws in our region would be a strong deterrent to organizers, participants, and property owners from hosting, participating in, and being a spectator to these types of dangerous events. Road safety is a shared responsibility, and it is incumbent upon us to do our part. Thank you.
Councillor Santos.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much, Sean and Claudia, for coming in today. Just for some background, and happy to bring the motion forward. A few months ago, I had met with the road safety team at Peel Regional Police and discussed various opportunities to strengthen some of our local efforts to deter illegal street racing activities, speeding, traffic calming, you name it. And one of the things that the officers brought up at the time at that meeting was actually this, was what Vaughan did to address car rallies and those who are actually condoning and celebrating illegal street racing in our neighborhoods in Vaughan. Now, Vaughan has done a successful job at tightening their bylaws to further support the efforts of Peel Police and our own efforts, and their own efforts with bylaw enforcement to start to reduce those car rallies. Have we seen a difference in Vaughan?
Through the chair, yes, we have, Councillor, a significant reduction in Vaughan.
Right. And so the challenge is that guess where Vaughan is right next door to? Yeah, it's right next door to Brampton. And so when the officers brought this up to me a few months ago, reached out to Legislative Services as well as Rob Higgs from Bylaw to see what we could do to tighten up in Brampton, because some of that bleeding or spillover will most certainly come to Brampton. I've received, as well as speaking to some of my colleagues, particularly Councillor Keenan, who's seconding the motion, complaints about increased street racing in some of the local roads in the area that I represent. Loud mufflers, street racing in the middle of the night, etc. I know in Councillor Keenan's ward, probably Councillor Power's ward, there are a lot of private industrial properties where folks like to also gather, and who knows where this is going to go in Brampton. In speaking with Legislative Services and Bylaw, Brampton does have the some tools to deal with such nuisance issues. Noise, illegal gatherings without permits, loud mufflers, which last year, I believe, we tightened some of those noise bylaws. The question is it enough? Is it at the same level that the city of Vaughan is doing in order for us to take the necessary preventative and deterring measures so it doesn't also happen in Brampton? And so this motion is essentially asking for us to take a look at what Vaughan is doing, what they have done, and whether or not the city of Brampton has enough teeth in our bylaws to be able to have the same level of success as Vaughan. It's essentially a report back in September to do a proper scan of our bylaws, to take a look at how your success was with Project Erase and Road Safety Watch, whether or not we've seen an increase in street racing and car rallies, and what Vaughan is doing in parallel to deal with this matter even further. So thank you, Peel Regional Police, for everything you do, including bringing solutions and ideas forward for us to consider. This is a motion for myself and Councillor Keenan, and hope my council colleagues will support.
Thank you, Councillor.
Over to the Deputy Mayor, and then I believe we can take the delegation and the motion together. Looking to the clerk.
Yeah, so thank you for coming. Thank you to Councillor Santos for this motion. I get a lot of complaints about the mufflers and speeding. So with all that, with the motion addressing those issues, I'm supportive of that. The only concern, because just the word car rally is concerning for me, is that we see a lot of Bramptonians using the tool of car rallies for protest. And that's been a pattern, and we saw it during the farmers' protest, and then we saw it again with the assassination of Hardeep Nijjar in BC. A lot of people in the community were protesting using car rallies to go downtown. And so I'm just concerned that if we start getting into that and regulating that, whether we're looking at maybe a permit, it gets into constitutional things and freedom. So how do you view that, and is this going to and then there's like, when we're saying car rallies, there's kind of two things come to mind. One is like in the plazas, people getting together, cars getting together and just causing nuisance and disturbance. And there's car rallies where people are organized on one side of the street, you exercising their democratic right to protest. And so how do you view that, and does this potential bylaw seep into the area of protest?
Through the chair, thank you, sir. We differentiate and base each one on an individual basis because there will be differences.
Okay.
And then we make our assessment from there.
Okay, so just as long as that feedback's incorporated into the report, I'll wait for that. That's just my only concern. Otherwise, going after muffler noise, plazas, I'm 100% support. I just don't want to be getting stuck on the community issues and the protest side, or getting into permits. Then it looks like we're taking a side or whatever. So I just want to bring that feedback back for the report and have legal look at that too. Just long as people have their right to exercise for their protest and freedom of speech, but also like the nuisance side and all that, we're addressing that. So I'll look for that balance, and I'll look for the report to come back. I'm in support. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Singh. Councillor Keenan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the Peel Regional Police for coming in today. I do agree with the statements of our Deputy Mayor. We've got to make sure that there is a good balance, but I want to thank Councillor Santos for the work on this. Very important, very big issue, and myself and Councillor Medeiros' ward. As everybody knows, College Plaza was a massive issue for us for quite some time. And I know in all the work done by staff, the property managers, and especially Peel Regional Police, we're cleaning up that area, but again, it just moved to another area. So I'm hoping that this will definitely address that, because if Vaughan's implementing it, I'm sure it'll be coming to us next. So kudos to Councillor Santos for really digging into this one. I'm very happy to second the motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor?
Sorry, is this, I heard muffler, are we going to look at tinted windows too? Just, or would that, was that too broad? Or, because I'm getting a lot of complaints about mufflers and tinted windows. I just had a meeting yesterday, so I could do that as a separate thing, or if you want to include it and make it more encompassing, because we're already talking about muffler noise, it might make sense. Yep.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think on the tinted windows, it's something that we should have staff consider and perhaps in the report back provide recommendations on the proper legal path on how to deal with those. I don't know if bylaw enforcement can actually enforce tinted windows or if that's a police issue. Nonetheless, I think it's something for us to consider so we don't have to bring another motion back.
I agree. If
Okay.
we could look at tinted windows in this
Yeah.
motion as well. I know we've written a letter in the past to have the powers for bylaw to look at it. If we could just, I guess, get an update where things are at, and then we can move forward accordingly that time. Thank you for
Okay.
incorporating that.
So if staff can take that as direction as part of this motion, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Santos and Councillor Keane. We have the motion on the floor with the amendment added in red. All those in favor? Motion carries, and that also receives the delegation. And as always, thank you to PRP for their outstanding commitment to public safety.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. This takes us to our next item, which is 7.3 Downtown Brampton Food District, item 14.1, minutes of the City Council meeting June 26. Mohammed Hanif, owner of Value Assets Inc. and Rihanna Can Downtown Brampton Food District. We also have Gagandeep Singh Gill and Anway Malak food vendors.
Good morning, Mayor and Councillor. Mohammed Hanif.
Good morning, Mayor and members of Council. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today on our business. On the last council meeting on June 26th, in Mr. Kapil's delegation, he stated that the food district was a success, and that enticed him to purchase the building next door. This also proves how activation increases the attractiveness for investors downtown. The food district brings in approximately 1,000 to 2,000 new people each week into the downtown area. In December of 2022, when all businesses downtown were complaining about having no customers coming to downtown and seeking the financial support from the city, we embarked on opening our new business, the food district, to activate McCarter Lane and to bring foot traffic downtown as we own the building and vacant lands on McCarter Lane. The idea of the food district with food trucks was presented to the BIA and city staff, and everyone loved it. We then spent the next few months in meetings with city staff and the BIA members addressing and resolving all issues and concerns. One such concern was, do the food trucks need BIA endorsement, since it was going to be set up on our private property? Some said no, and some said yes. We decided to choose the answer of yes, to ensure that both the city and the BIA would be happy and supportive with our project. On February 24th, 2023, I had a file, if it could go up on screen. We received a letter of support. The food district was not only endorsed by the BIA to operate, but it was also endorsed to be successful. The next file of Tuesday, March the 21st, 2023, our board minutes and discussion. Some of the business were upset about the project. However, our director at the time, Susie, advised them of the private property. The next file, June 13th, 2023. This is the BIA board meeting where the discussion on vendors, if they were to qualify as members. The city clerk at the time, Peter Fay, said that they did qualify as members. However, he recommended that we ask them to be bona fide. The minutes of August 30th, 2023. There was a motion passed in the BIA to endorse adding the food trucks located in the parking lots at 25 and 27 Main Street North into the BIA as bona fide good standing members. This motion was passed. We assumed at this time that these minutes were processed by City Clerk's Department to amend the food truck bylaw to exclude the addresses at 25 and 27 Main Street North from any further requirements. However, this was not done. Today, we humbly ask that council amend the bylaw or issue a letter to exclude our property, the parking lot at 25 and 27 Main Street North, from the mobile licensing bylaw as per the minutes of the BIA as of August 30th, 2023. Item number 9. After this motion, the BIA agreed to purchase a tent and heaters to ensure the success of their members. They added the trucks to their website, signed them up for the gift card program, and continued to promote them on their social media and treated them as any other member of the BIA. They also sponsored DJ nights. We hosted a Halloween costume party for the kids because they are members. In the 2024 budget, the BIA also had $10,000 allocated to activating the food district to support their members. Food vendors used all their savings to upgrade their trucks for permanent trailers in our property. Last council meeting, the chair, Carrie Percival, stated that the trucks were not members. For us, this is very disturbing, as it clearly states in the minutes that they were accepted as members and should be treated as any other. This is not a pilot project. This is not a city or a BIA project. This is our business, our permanent business. 6 months later, on March 13th, 2024, an email was sent to Mohammed that a review of the food district was to be conducted over several weeks, with criteria and recommendations and comprehensive assessment scheduled for May 1st. However, inconsistencies in the BIA on April 30th, before the review of May 1st, there was a motion passed for the BIA to no longer support the food district. BIA members addressed the board without being on the agenda. Okay, thank you.
Okay. We have the next delegation from Gagandeep Singh Gill and Anway Malik.
No question for me, that's all right. I was here to answer any question. My first time, if anybody have any question, because I know it's a delegate issue. It's my first time I'm 30 years plus downtown Brampton. It's my first time coming here. Right? I'm not going to take up your time too much.
Are there any questions?
Or if I can have a minute to say something.
Councillor Pleshy has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are you suing the city?
Well, we had no choice. We're not suing. We just asked for a fair hearing.
Okay.
That's
Thank you. That was my question. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Our next delegation is Gagandeep Singh Gill and Anway Malik.
My daughter is going to speak on my behalf. So. Okay.
Good morning, respected mayor, councilors, and everyone. I'm here in front of you on behalf of the food trucks in Brampton Food District. We are here to appeal the recent notice we have received to cease operations at our food trucks located at downtown Brampton Food District. As a longstanding member of the Brampton community, we would like to outline several crucial reasons why seizing our food truck would severely impact our livelihood and the well-being of our employees and their families. Firstly, our food truck operation is not only our primary source of income, but also supports nearly 40 employees who depend on us for their livelihoods. We have invested significant resources and effort over a year to establish our business and provide diverse food options to the community. The closure of the food truck would result in financial losses due to the disruption of daily operations. Moreover, the mental stress and strain on our families from uncertainty about our future are deeply concerning. We all have proper lease to operate, and we have been strictly following all municipal bylaws and regulations, and there have been no violations that would warrant such a drastic action. We left our full-time jobs to pursue this business and have invested our savings and secured a line of credit to sustain the business during challenging times. The financial strain of closure on such a short notice not only risks our business, but also our personal financial stability, including the risk of losing our life savings and home. We kindly request reconsideration of the notice in the light of these circumstances. We are willing to work closely with the city to find a mutually beneficial solution that addresses any concerns while allowing us to continue operating without further disruption. Thank you for considering our appeal. We look forward to your prompt response, and we are available at your earliest earliest convenience to discuss this matter further. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vasante.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no questions for the delegations, but I do want to thank the delegations and ask Council to receive them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I would note, as has been clarified before, the legal right for this does reside with the BIA, and I hope that you have a chance to make a similar delegation to the BIA as they're the body that determines if the activation is permitted. We have a motion moved by Councillor Vasante, seconded by Councillor Santos to receive the delegation. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to Delegation 7.4 from Ted Brown, CEO, Regeneration Outreach Community. This was added by Councillor Keenan. We missed you last week at the charity golf tournament, Ted. I would note that each of the charities designated by councillors, we raised $50,000 for each charity. So it was, I know Regeneration was an important charity outlined by council as one that we wanted to support. So it was a blast. So next year we want to see you test out your swing too.
Yeah, I'm sorry for being there. I was on vacation, so.
Well deserved.
But we greatly appreciate, and my opening statement is I want to thank you for hosting that golf tournament and the funds that were raised, not only for us, but the other 5 charities and the impact that it will have on the city of Brampton. I want to start out by saying that around the encampment issue, I think on your agenda you have some reports, or the initial report from the Region Appeal about the encampment policy framework and joint protocols for the region. We're so thankful that we have been partner with the Region Appeal as part of the Peel Encampment Working Group. And our desire as an organization is that we would see people properly housed, properly supported, and properly cared for 24/7. We don't want to see anybody living in encampments. Part of what we do, and you're all very familiar with the work that we do at Regeneration, and we have an important matter that we would like to discuss with you. Regeneration Outreach Community is in need of assistance in locating a permanent residence to better serve our community. Our lease at 156 Main Street North, just north of here, in Grace United Church, expires on December the 31st, 2025. We do have an option to extend that lease for 2 more years. The building is currently, we're thankful for that ability to continue there, but we don't think that's the best option for us. Also, our lease where our food bank is, we got a lease extension that we just received officially this week, and it has been extended through December 31st, 2025, not too far away. Next month, we'll be celebrating 25 years of service to this community. Our organization is dedicated to providing support services to individuals who are experiencing homelessness or at risk of homelessness, or those living in extreme poverty. The United Nations has set a global agenda through the Sustainable Development Goals, which include zero hunger and sustainable cities and communities. These goals aim to eliminate hunger, ensure access to nutritious food, and provide adequate housing and basic services to all. Regeneration does all of that except for housing. We support the community that we have here who are in great need. Many of our programs help to obtain those goals right here in Brampton. Our KEEP program just up the road serves meals, just under 40,000 meals last year. Our dedicated team and staff and volunteers work tirelessly to provide hot meals to those in need. Our food bank, just over on Queen Street, aims at addressing the ongoing issues of food insecurity faced by many individuals in our city. Over the past decade, Regen has also worked tirelessly to foster strong relationships with individuals and corporate donors to collect food and other goods that can be given to those in need instead of going to waste. In addition, we continue to work with the Region Appeal on solving some of these issues. By collaborating with the City of Brampton, we can work together to find a suitable permanent residence for Regeneration Outreach Community. We're asking for your help. I urge you to consider a request for the assistance in locating this permanent location for us so that we can better serve those who are vulnerable in our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ted, and I believe Councillor Santos or Keenan may have a motion as well.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Councillor Keenan certainly has a motion on this, but and I'm happy to second the motion when that motion comes forward. And just a couple of questions, and appreciate, obviously, regeneration is in the ward that both Councillor Vicente and I represent. I did a tour there most recently with the president of TMU, Dr. Lashemi, and then we also walked the encampments in the area. I know that you're fully aware of the challenge that we have in addressing the encampments specifically around the Etobicoke Creek Trail. And in the report at the Region of Peel, it does reference that the folks who are unhoused choosing the encampments choose to stay in that particular area because of access to support services such as regeneration. That being said, you also understand the challenge that we face in terms of the residents seeing factually an increase in crime in the area, safety concerns, less enjoyment of our local parks, the fact that it's in a flood zone, etc. So it is a very difficult balance for us to navigate through this, and we certainly are doing everything we can to advocate and push for more shelter housing options for those most vulnerable in need. But question with respect to the encampment protocol and policy, and I do support the search for a permanent location for regeneration. Do you provide tents to the guests who are asking for them?
If we have them, yes, we do.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, if I can state why we do that. The reality of the issues with the shelter system, none of us in this room would ever want to stay in the shelter. None of us. And many of us in this room, if we had a choice between the shelter and being outside, would probably choose outside.
Right.
And I encourage you, if I could continue, I would encourage you to go and visit the conditions of what is happening in the hotels and the shelter system.
Okay.
The amount of support that they're receiving in there is not adequate for proper care.
And thank you, through you, Mr. Chair, and we will deal with that at the region tomorrow, most certainly. But in terms of the fact that the majority of those tents, we went with the city staff work and pushing the region from 50 encampments in the area down to 1 or 2. We're seeing a little bit more activity happening again. That being said, we have a duty to maintain certain health and safety issues in that particular area. We also have a duty to listen to the concerns of the residents in the surrounding area because it is city property. And so this is the challenge of the balance that we're trying to strike here. My next question is, because I got a notice from Commissioner Pilateras from Public Works yesterday in email, we all got it, that there is a heavy rainfall warning. The area in which there's been a concentration, and there are still 2 remaining encampments there, is a flood zone. And so my question is what is the protocol when folks are asking for tents? How are you helping to maintain that balance for the residents in the area, maintain the safety, and ensure that the folks who are choosing to stay in a tent avoid the areas that are high risk, high flood zone, and also respect the area in which they are choosing to stay in?
Sorry, just to speak to the tent question, we've given about 3 or 4 tents in 2024.
Okay.
So we're not giving all of these tents. They're literally random ones that usually aren't even in good condition that we're able to give out so people can be out of the rain. We do, again, work very closely with outreach, and we don't encourage people to go to that particular park, and we talk to them about the risks and all of those things on a regular basis.
Great.
But when he said we're giving out tents, it's not like we gave out tents to all of those people.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare that we actually get one that we're able to give.
Right.
And
So
the question
on-
was, do we hand out tents? And we have.
Yeah.
That's a reality.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just what
So-
Not a
perspective, it's
practice.
not.
Thank you.
a
And through you,
regular.
Mr. Mayor, and again, respectfully, appreciate the work we're doing, but we're all faced with challenges on the opposite side. And quite frankly, the pendulum at one point swung completely on the other side. And what we are trying to do through the protocol and through my questions is try to maintain that balance, working collaboratively, not just with the region of Peel and internally within the city of Brampton, but also with our partners, because they come to you and they also trust you. And so what I think we also need is a protocol from our agencies on what exactly you are doing and telling folks in order to uphold and maintain that balance that we desperately need. Because my phone is blowing up every day from the neighbors in the area who are having issues and that are correlated to the encampments in the area of the Etobicoke Creek Trail. And they are starting to escalate in other areas as well. So would you be committed to providing us with what your exact protocol is when folks are accessing tents or when you know that they are accessing your services living in these various high-risk areas?
So Jenna will continue after I'm done, but one of the things you stated was about the care of our residents and listening to the residents. We have to absolutely believe, this council absolutely has to believe, that the people who are experiencing homelessness are residents as well. And the reality is, we have a housing crisis in this community. We have a housing crisis across this country, and it's not easily solved, and we have an issue with people finding a place to live. That's a reality.
Thank you.
None of
Through you,
these
Mr.
people-
Mayor, if I may,
if
just
I
because
could
I need to
continue, though.
clarify something here. So we absolutely, and again, I don't want you or anyone to misinform the public and the media picking and choosing what it is that they're going to report on what I am saying. We absolutely are with you. Okay? The challenge is, and we trust me, I've been advocating for housing. I've been talking to ministers. We have been pushing for emergency shelters for women escaping gender-based violence. I've brought it up at FCM. There's correspondence today from AMO to deal with this at other orders of government. But we need our agencies to also understand that we also represent the other residents who are also concerned about this issue. And we must find that balance. And part of finding that balance is making sure that we have a collaboration so that the unhoused or those who are seeking shelter do not live in flood zones. And there is very specific issues related to choosing to live concentrated areas near residential neighborhoods and playgrounds. There is an issue. And that is part of the reason why the pendulum needs to go back into balance. And the only way that that's going to happen is if our agencies also recognize the issues that come with concentrated campus like we just recently experienced. We are not saying, none of us is saying that we don't want to find shelter and that we don't prioritize and want to find those options. None of us are saying that. We have been pushing very hard at the region of Peel, at the city of Brampton for housing, but that requires other orders of government. And so at the end of the day, what I'm asking for, and the question is, back to the question, whether or not Regeneration will also collaborate with the city to tell us what your protocol is when you are servicing clients and handing out tents, 3 or 4, 1 or 2, whatever that may be, so that it also is in collaboration with what we have as bylaws at the city of Brampton locally. And trust me, we will continue to do the work to find housing and support. We actually pushed the region to prioritize this area for hotel space, because at that point, that was our only option. But I will tell you that it was unsustainable to continue having 50, 60, 70 encampments in a flood zone.
So in regards to the policy and protocol, we will go based on whatever is approved at the region about the policies and protocols with the encampments. So once that is approved, we will be following those guidelines and expressing that to our guests and the people that we serve, that these are now what is in place. So it will be very much based on whatever the region of Peel decides for the policy and protocols and through that working group that we're
Great.
part of.
Thank you very much, through you, Mr. Mayor. But you are now coming to the city asking us to help you find a permanent location
Yes.
within the city of Brampton, which we are happy to do,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But we also need you to provide that information to the city of Brampton as it applies to our
Yeah.
bylaws.
For sure. So again, based on whatever happens with the protocols and policies that the region of Peel, which does include the city of Brampton, city of Mississauga, like all of the region of Peel, we will base our policies and protocols on how we respond through that when they're created.
Great. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So again, my follow-up question, and I will keep pushing on this, is in the report and in my conversations with Human Services, they've shared with me that the city of Brampton's recent experience is actually extraordinary. And most of the issues that are coming from residents unhoused and housed with regards to encampments is coming from the city of Brampton and not necessarily by the Mississauga or by Caledon. And so we are taking a lead in what that protocol and policy should be because our city is being impacted the most. And so I appreciate that, you're saying the region of Peel. But later on in the agenda, after the GR update, I will be bringing forward a motion to make sure that the city of Brampton's advocacy efforts at the region of Peel with respect to the encampment protocol and policy is very fully, comprehensively covered because the objectives at the region of Peel are different from the objectives of the city of Brampton at this point. And Human Services, in my meeting with them on Monday, they very specifically said that. And so I now need things on the public record from the city of Brampton to show and demonstrate what we are doing at the city of Brampton to uphold that balance and make sure that the bylaws, to as much as possible, are upheld in our city. So it would be great if you forward that policy and protocol over when you're ready to let us know what you're doing now to inform the guests and folks who are asking for tents, to make sure that they follow various rules and they don't live in flood zones. Cool? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Santos, and thank you for your exceptional work in trying to find shelter for those in encampments. I would note there is no regional bylaw. It is city, and so we have to work with our local bylaw to make sure that safety is never in question. And I know that's the spirit of Councillor Santos's question. Someone struggling with homelessness, the last thing you'd want to see is them in a more precarious position. And I know from our fire chief and conservation staff that a number of serious red flags have been raised. What I would say is you can count on the city, and just to amplify what Councillor Santos said, we will be the most vocal to make sure that we get the funding we need to make sure that our shelter isn't over capacity. We've been pressed in the last few years. We went from no one is turned away to having a capacity, we were at 300% capacity at one point.
It was 400.
Yeah, I had a press conference outside the shelter in Dundas, and I was told, don't hold the press conference. I said, the only way we're going to get noticed by the minister is to have a press conference and a plea for help. Asylum claimants alone went from 2% to almost 80% in terms of shelter capacity. I would note when I had that press conference, I had the federal minister call me 2 minutes before I was speaking to say, help's on its way. And so sometimes you need to have the squeaky wheel to get attention, and we've got a financial commitment now for a greatly expanded shelter system. But, it is, while we do this and while we do that push, we have to make sure that we don't turn a blind eye to basic safety and bylaw requirements that legally as a city we have to abide by. And thank you.
And we're
Councillor
100%
Santos,
in
for
support of that.
highlighting that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor Vasante.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and I want to echo your comments with regards to the work that Councillor Santos has done on this file. It's been a heavy load to carry. But Ted, I just want to ask you a question because something that you said, I guess, causes me some concern. Because to hear the director of one of the most prominent organizations here in the city say that an encampment is vastly preferable to many people over a shelter space, like at the region of Peel, they have done unprecedented work, like to open up hotel spaces so that a resident who is in need can have a place to sleep tonight. Is it Regeneration's position when you speak, because you're at the front line, you see folks every day, you see them daily, you speak to them all the time. Are you working with outreach to encourage folks to receive the support that the region is making available? Or are you perhaps, I don't know, for lack of a better word, you know, let's just say you're discouraging them from receiving help?
Absolutely not.
Right. So I would hope that in every conversation, we make folks aware that helps are available, and we are steering them to talk to outreach and to find a way where they can have a roof over their head as opposed to a tent in a park. And to Councillor Santos's point, in terms of protocol, what does Regeneration say to folks when they come in and perhaps they mention to you? Because I know this is a very organic and complicated process. It requires trust, et cetera. But when you have that opportunity to speak to someone, as whenever I speak to someone who I meet on the street like that, my immediate go-to is, would you like to sleep in a room tonight?
So I'll speak to that. We do work very closely with outreach. We are constantly encouraging them to speak with them, to get into the motels. What we're hearing from them is that it is not preferable. They want to have the roof over their head, but many of them have actually left. There's been people who are coming in being like, it is not good. Their mental health is deteriorating. They are not doing well there. They're isolated. And so our staff are actually going to the motel on a regular basis now to to check in with our regular guests to make sure that they're doing well, to help keep them there. We don't want them to be outside. We want them to find permanent housing. We want them to get the supports that they need. So we are constantly working with the region, working with outreach, trying to get people into shelter. We're not encouraging them to be outside at all. We're just hearing feedback from them that they would prefer to be outside.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor, because I think that's how we all must speak with one voice, that encampments are not the solution.
No, and shelters aren't the solution, as we all know.
Yeah. And so my preference is always to connect any person with the region and outreach and help them, guide them, encourage them, if for lack, really it's encouraging because they come to you and they trust you.
Yeah.
And so you go a long way towards helping the region to also connect and trust and receive their trust.
Yeah, and we work really hard to make sure that happens and making those connections. There are some people that, as much as we are encouraging them to call shelter, they have to play a part in it as well, right? And until that happens, we want them to be safe. We don't want them to be in danger. We don't want them sleeping outside. We don't want them getting wet in this rain, right? So we do what we can in the meantime before they get into shelter, because sometimes it's just a call to the shelter and they're in. It is a lot more complicated and a convoluted system than just a phone call. So
Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you, Mayor.
Councillor Keenan, followed by Councillor Pleshy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Ted, for coming in and delegating today. The work you do in the community is beyond needed. Whenever I make a call to you, you're the first to react as in any circumstance. So I thank you for that, and I'm going to bring this back to your ask. I feel that my colleagues have covered the encampments, and thank you to Councillor Santos for all the hard work that you're putting into these. But your ask is, if I am correct, is for us to help find you a facility that would consolidate both of your locations into one, and this would ultimately better help you serve the community. So I am happy to receive and refer this delegation to staff. I know Councillor Fleshy's on the board, so I'll wait till after that. But I'm happy to refer this delegation to staff to have them work with you and report back to council on appropriate locations that can be found to accommodate this. And I'll leave it there for now. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Pleshy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You touched on it a little bit, and I want you to elaborate so that people don't know, and if I missed it when I had to step out, I apologize, but why aren't shelters the issue? If you can talk about safety, you can talk about privacy.
Why
Can
aren't
you-
shelters
Why aren't, Councilor Vincente said encampments aren't the solution, and neither are shelters.
Neither are shelters.
And I agree, and
Yeah.
can you explain to people why?
It's a Band-Aid solution for obviously a bigger problem, which we all know. So obviously they are very important and it is a good stepping stone for people. But there are a lot of people who are in shelters who have addiction, who have mental health, who don't play well with others, to just put it kindly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interpersonal dynamics that happen there. And I don't believe that they are, how do I, just 1 second, I just want to make sure I'm not biting my tongue. It is a safety concern.
Yep.
It is a huge safety concern. The motels, it's an overdose concern. There was an overdose over there a few weeks ago. One of our very dear guests passed away in a motel, and no, there was the security, shelter staff, but the door is closed, so no one knows what's going on. It is a place where skills aren't really built. So people need housing, people need supportive housing, because a lot of these people have been on the streets for 18 years. It's all they really know. So they need supportive housing in order to move forward and to get the care that they need. And a shelter, having 2 staff, which is a funding problem for sure, taking care of 160 people and trying to meet all of their needs, it's not enough.
No, and I thank you for that, and I look around the room, and tomorrow at the region as well. We build shelters, and we put people in boxes, and that's not what needs to be done. People can't be treated like that. People that need help and support, at the regional level, because it's a major regional responsibility, has to be provided. All of that support, everything that we're doing for mental health and addictions, have to be included in the shelters, and it can't be, can no longer be put people in the box, and it makes the issue go away, because that's not how people should be treated, and that's not how we as elected officials should be setting the direction. So at regional council tomorrow, I know there's a report coming, and protocol hopefully in November, but we need some advocates. We need some people to support not only what the region has been doing, what the city of Brampton has been doing, and not looking at what we have been doing, but looking at what we can be doing, not only at the region and at the city of Brampton. So thank you for your service. Thank you for your delegation today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Santos.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Pleshy, for bringing up that point regarding the shelters. Tomorrow at the Region of Peel, it is my intention to bring forward motions to further strengthen our efforts with respect to mental health and addictions, and later on, we also have an advocacy motion with respect to supportive housing and mental health and addictions to other orders of government. That being said, in the encampments, and we've received reports on this, fentanyl is found, drugs are found, needles are everywhere in a public park where it's not supposed to be used or condoned. There's open drinking in the public park from the encampments. There's overdoses that have been identified in the encampments to a point where we had to take down an entire structure because it was unsafe for those living in the encampment because paramedics couldn't come in. There has been trees set on fire, 15 propane tanks, 20 cubic yard bins of garbage, and on and on and on. And so while I appreciate that the shelter system doesn't have the wraparound supports that folks are looking for, and that it isn't the solution, it is a Band-Aid solution, that we need to make sure the Region of Peel provides more of those support services and decreases and have lower barrier shelter systems so folks feel more comfortable. But we still should not be condoning the other side either. also because it's impacting the safety and enjoyment of the residents that surround those encampments.
But you know, one of the things that I hope you're not painting us into is that we are condoning of encampments, because we are not.
Or the illegal behavior.
Good.
that
Or the
happens.
illegal behavior,
Yeah, and
or the
thank you,
drugs, or
which
the
is why
propane.
I'm asking for
We-
what your policy and protocol is to help us feed and understand locally what we are doing at the City of Brampton to work collaboratively as we're searching for a permanent location for regeneration. You came to the City of Brampton looking for a permanent location, not to the Region of Peel. And I suggest we also ask the Region of Peel to help us find that permanent location as well and support it. And we will deal with the wraparound supports and mental health addictions and housing issues that the Region of Peel must improve on. But what I'm saying here is that the encampments, in general, I'm not blaming you at all, not at all, also are not a solution and should not be condoned.
And I think we're all saying the same thing, and the last thing anyone would want would be a child in a park to walk by fentanyl, and this is, we're all working together to make sure we find the solution, and encampments are not the solution. So I think we've had a very fruitful
thank you.
discussion. We have a motion on the floor from Councillor Keenan, seconded by Councillor Santos. I don't see any other speakers. All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Okay, this takes us to our next item, which is the added item from Councillor Tour, and this is the delegation from Duca Impact Lab and Arboro for the Shared Equity Housing Program.
Mr. Mayor, Councillor, thank you for your time. I'm here to present a proposal for a home ownership access fund on behalf of the Duca Social Impact Lab and Arboro. As home prices continue to rise, we need solutions that first-time home buyers, that can support first-time home buyers who can afford the monthly carrying costs of a home, but don't have access to the intergenerational wealth required to actually break into home ownership. The City of Brampton's already done an incredible job leading initiatives to increase housing supply within the city, but that work has an impact lag. It takes about 5 to 15 years for us to see the fruits of that labor. We propose a solution for those without access today: the creation of a perpetual fund dedicated to first-time home buyers in Brampton, providing access to a shared equity program coordinated in partnership through Duca Credit Union and their Social Impact Lab and Arboro Inc., a shared equity provider, that will contribute towards the down payment for the residents of Brampton who want to buy a home in exchange for a share of the future value of their home. So, if we could actually move to the next slide, that would be great. Thank you. Right now in Brampton, the average home value or average price for a property is about $1 million. That's where it hovers. In order to afford that home today, you need to have $200,000 saved for a down payment. And unless you have access to the bank of mom and dad, it's just not going to happen. Currently, about $51,000 in savings is what the typical Canadian has towards their down payment. That means there's about a $150,000 gap that needs to be covered in order for them to break into home ownership. And keep in mind, these are people who can actually afford the carrying costs of a property. 20, 30, 40 years ago, they would be able to buy on their own, but given where current home prices are today, they're now priced out of the market. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the solution for us, and what we've been working towards over the last few years, in coordination as well with the federal government, is a program that invests in owner-occupied residential properties alongside Bramptonians. We deploy capital alongside them in exchange for a future share in the value of their home. So effectively, we're bringing together government partners and home buyers in order for them to break into home ownership. What does that look like? Next page, please. Thank you. So with our program, home buyer can co-own alongside us for up to 30 years in exchange for a share in the future appreciation of the property. And also, to note the ability to also manage the depreciation of the property in case the property decreases in value. The capital would be deployed within the boundaries of the city of Brampton, specifically for first-time home buyers. They would not have any additional fees or interest payments attached to that. Home buyers would enjoy full use of the property, and co-owners can sell the property at any time during that co-ownership period. This, in some ways, mimics the shared equity mortgage providers program that the CMHC was running on behalf of the federal government. Next page, thank you. So quickly on the partners, we've been working alongside the Duca Impact Lab as part of the Duca Credit Union. And if you can move to the next slide, you'll see. The next one after that. Effectively, Duca's been working in Canada for over 70 years, providing banking services. It's cooperatively owned. They also, of course, work here in Brampton as well. Their Impact Lab is specifically focused on trying to solve problems and opportunities around financial inequity. And that's what connected Arbro to their team as well. Thank you. Moving on to the next one, thank you. Arbro, on the other hand, has been working towards shared equity programs for the last 3 or 4 years. So if you want to move to the next slide. In that time, we've deployed approximately $20 million alongside families across Ontario, $5 million of which was in service of the CMHC's Shared Equity Fund, allowing home buyers to live in the communities that they call home already. So turning renters into home buyers and homeowners in their communities. And we all know the benefits of home ownership already. I'm not going to belabor the point there. What we're proposing today, if you can move forward for a slide, is a fund for Bramptonians. Effectively, that the City of Brampton contributes to a fund designated for residents to buy homes. That fund, that contribution would go towards securing a credit facility run by the Duca Impact Lab, which would then be used to buy properties alongside and co-invest alongside Canadians in Bramptonians here in the city. Thank you.
Councillor Torr.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Brown. Thank you all for that delegation. I know I've spoken to you in the past about this, and I think one thing it helps address is when we're talking about, when people see on the news affordable homes, for a lot of people that are actually watching the news, they're thinking about housing affordability. Two very different things, but people always do confuse them. What's happening right now is that my generation or the next generation that's getting into, moving out of the parents' home and buying their first house, it is almost impossible right now anywhere in Canada to buy. You could go as far north, east, south, west, but it's almost impossible to buy a house. Like you said, unless you have the help of your parents, and that can help you get a mortgage. You can make the mortgage payments, but getting that down payment there is a big issue. So that's where I like the idea that you are presenting here. How we can make this work is a question, and I think with this delegation, if I could refer this to staff to report back, perhaps when we come back in September, on how we can make this work in the city of Brampton. If you want to just briefly just tell me about the CMHC portion of your funding, like how is that working right now? Because I know you had it in the past, but more recently they announced another fund again.
Correct. So CMHC had led a shared equity mortgage providers fund that launched about 5 or 6 years ago in 2019 with the idea to support those who don't have access to down payment support from family to help them break into home ownership. And it was basically set up as a mortgage. We take a different approach. We want it to be total risk-free capital for home buyers, and we worked with the CMHC to deliver that program through them. So they effectively provided a $5 million credit facility or loan specifically to allow us to then purchase alongside home buyers in Canada. They give us very clear kind of rules on what how we prioritize candidates, exactly specifically what kind of properties we are allowed to buy into. And in doing so, we effectively administer the program on their behalf. To date, through their program, that $5 million has gone on to purchase alongside families in Canada about 41 homes. And the additional benefit to that is A, it's building generational wealth for that next generation who didn't have access to it. But secondly, it's also then freeing up rental stock for those who can't necessarily afford to buy a home today.
Okay, thank you. Those are all the questions I have. I have the motion on there. I think the mayor has offered to second this motion. And I'll let my colleagues speak for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Power.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. So, just real quick, and you're going to profit off of somebody buying a home. How does Brampton benefit from that if we're going to set up a fund?
Yeah, I think the way I would look at it is we will effectively use that loan in perpetuity. So the funds come in through the Duca Credit Union, which is a charitable organization. They effectively use it as a credit facility for us. So they basically are using it as collateral, in a sense. We can then go out and, so they're effectively offering the debt on our behalf. We go out, we effectively purchase these properties, and over time, they either appreciate or depreciate in value. If they depreciate in value, the Impact Lab and Arbro as well take on the risk there. If they appreciate in value, we effectively collect some sort of fee, I guess you could say, but really in order for us to actually deliver the services themselves and take on the risk of delivering the program. So ultimately, when properties are sold, as an example, that money would then go back into a fund and help the next cohort of Bramptonians to access home ownership.
Right. So if the home is foreclosed on, who benefits?
We actually provide a bunch of services for homeowners when they live in the home as well. We don't see ourselves as just an equity provider, but actually a partner in the homeownership journey for them, because it's very overwhelming for people to break into homeownership for the first time. So we actually also provide access to a rainy day fund. So if there's a potential where someone's going to miss mortgage payments or are struggling, for instance, with their with any type of kind of financial crisis in their lives, we reserve up to 3 months of mortgage payments for them. That allows them to get, and for 45 days, it's completely interest-free. It's just a way for them to get back on their feet. And if there's ever a situation where they realize they're no longer able to afford that property, we work with them and use that reserve to actually cure any potential defaults so that they can sell the property without it becoming a distressed asset, and they can still retain the full, as much value as they possibly can from the sale of the property.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Plushy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm happy to support it and have staff look into it, but, let's not kid ourselves. We're not sure who has the worst reputation, politicians or, equity financial people. So let's see what we can do. If this actually helps people and, nobody's getting rich off of the backs of somebody that needs help, needs a house, then we'll support it. But for now, I'm happy to have this go through and look into it for sure. Thank you,
Councilor Palashi. Yeah, and I believe that when we do dig into it, you'll find that what we're doing here is coming from a social impact focus.
Yeah, I have one question, and happy to second this as well. I understand you've got a partnership now from CMHC, and I know they're looking at innovative ways to get housing built for those that can't afford housing currently. We are in a national housing crisis. Could you explain that support you're getting from CMHC, and because I believe that's significant. It's the first time CMHC's entered into an investment like this.
Yeah, so effectively they're using us as a shared equity provider administrator. What we've done basically is built the tools to allow this program to exist. The CMHC tried to actually run this program themselves back in 2020. They had a lot of challenges getting it off the ground because they struggled to actually educate homeowners and communicate the program effectively. I think what we've done over the last few years at Arbro is we've put a heavy emphasis on education and on transparency. And by doing that, what we have is over 2,000 applications from home buyers who want to work with us here in Ontario already. And CMHC saw that. They saw the work that we were doing and said, we want to support this. Put together a proposal. We'll look through it. And if we like it, we'll offer you funds effectively as a loan. So, it was put up where Arbro itself accepted the risk on that on their behalf. Effectively, what we're saying here is Duca's Impact Lab is willing to step into that kind of role to provide a credit facility and take on some of that risk. And what they're hoping for is that the city of Brampton is going to be willing to collateralize that to some degree so that we can actually put this together. They're a bank. They're used to using and offering credit, and we want to kind of piggyback off of their abilities. And what we do well is we explain, we source great potential investments for our homeowners. We help them through the homeownership process. We provide them with maintenance services and general education on how to actually own a home, because it is such a scary thing to do when you're in your early 30s to actually go forward with that. And so our job really is to actually provide the program. Duca's job is provide the capital, and I believe Brampton's job is to activate this program and make something into it, so that not just this generation of Brantonians, but future generations of Brantonians can have access to home ownership as they would have 30 or 40 years ago.
So no different than anyone in the private sector building affordable housing through a CMHC partnership.
That's how I look at it, correct.
Now, I understand there's now a few equity funds in the space, 2 or 3 in the country, and I think there's one out west as well. And I think if we look at this, it'd be something that anyone in this space could compete on, but how can we make housing more obtainable in our city? So this is something that I'm certainly interested in and look forward to seeing the staff report back. We've got additional questions since I started asking questions. Councillor Pleshy and Deputy Mayor Singh.
Just really briefly, Mr. Mayor, because I did want to say with Home Opportunities, we're already doing this somewhat, but they're building houses. You're not building the houses.
Correct.
So, something else for us to look into. This could potentially be, something great. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Singh.
Yeah, I just want to say, just seeing hearing the comments from the last delegation and to this delegation, it's good to see council taking affordable housing seriously. Councillor Pleshy brought a good project forward. Councillor True has been tour, and the mayor have mentioned this to me in the past. So I think we're trying. We're trying our best. We have a couple of places of worship trying their part. We had a church come about affordable housing. We're going to have Gurdwaras come forward. So everybody's trying. It's a complicated process. So I look forward to seeing the report and seeing how we can help address the housing issue together. So thank you.
Okay, we have the motion on the floor. All those in favor, motion carries.
Thank you.
This takes us to item 8.1. I think someone held 8.1. Is that correct? Yes. Who is that? Councillor Santos?
Oh, yeah.
You want to go to 1 in the break? Okay, Councillor, we'll bring up the motion from Councillor Santos. Do you want to speak to your motion, Councillor Santos?
Yeah, thank you. For you, Mr. Mayor, it's a reiteration of what I already shared during the delegation with regeneration, and only to say that throughout the many months of dealing with this issue related to encampments and weekly bringing it up regularly at the region of Peel, I think it's important for us at the City of Brampton to make sure that there is information that's actually on the record and forwarded officially to the region of Peel, so that the city's interests are included in the region of Peel's encampment protocol and policy when that comes in the fall. It was concerning to me on Monday, and Councillor Vicente attended that meeting as well, when I heard from Human Services staff at the region say that, number one, and admit that there's a breakdown in communication between what region of Peel is sharing with the City of Brampton and vice versa. So we're getting different statistics. That Peel Outreach is concerned about sharing information on what is found in the encampments, like the propane tanks, like the drugs and guns that were found in the encampments, because they're trying to establish a level of trust with those who are living in encampments. It concerns me that the report, item 17.2 on the agenda tomorrow, doesn't include enough feedback from the surrounding residents, which I have constantly brought up at the region of Peel. And it also certainly concerns me that the staff at the region of Peel explicitly said in that meeting on Monday that the objectives of the region of Peel are different from the City of Brampton. And so I think that having staff, and at first, I really want to thank Rasmeen in particular, and Bill from Community Services, Community Safety Office, as well as City Security, and the work in legislative services and Samir in helping the city navigate through this very challenging situation on city property. And that is one of the biggest challenges. The issues of shelter and housing, mental health, addiction support is at the region, but this is all happening on city property in a flood zone surrounded by existing residents. Now imagine this was happening in your backyard. Imagine finding guns and fentanyl and drugs, search warrants, criminal arrests. Even the unhoused within these encampment sites have expressed that they do not feel safe. And so it is very important for Brampton to make sure our position is public and clear so that it informs and takes the lead on the protocol and policy that's being drafted at the region of Peel. That's what the intention of this motion does. Item number 6.7 in particular speaks to our advocacy efforts at other orders of government so that they are also very clear on the impact of the lack of funding that the region of Peel and City of Brampton gets in addressing chronic homelessness and encampments. At FCM, when I was at the conference, I spoke to many colleagues around the country talking about encampments. Every single colleague of mine at FCM shared similar stories, but not to the same extent that we have been experiencing here in Brampton. So Brampton is leading on the initiatives and the creative solutions that we're taking. The final added item is just for staff to report back before the region of Peel brings back that final draft of the protocol and policy, and staff to report back on any gaps and further improvements for the City of Brampton's internal process. So what can bylaw do better or more of? What can Public Works do better or more of? What can city security do more and better of? And also the coordination efforts with Peel Police, as well as social agencies like Regeneration. Because I think our perspective in the City of Brampton sometimes gets not necessarily communicated publicly when it reaches the regional table with the encampment policy. The only thing that I'll say is that a resident early this morning sent me an article in the Globe and Mail, which is very relevant to this discussion today and tomorrow. And if folks haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. But the last paragraph in that article says, because this is being experienced around the entire country, encampments, quote, encampments are not a solution to homelessness, neither are shelters. Ideally, the solution is affordable homes for all, but we are a far cry from that goal. In the meantime, we need to both ensure that public spaces are orderly and accessible to all, and allow those living on the margins to shelter safely. I'm so proud to say that our team in Brampton have been so incredible. We have been so incredible trying to achieve that. But that balance won't be achieved with black and white court rulings, but with creative community-based solutions. And thank you to Rasmeen and her team, Bill and the team, City Security, as well as Public Works, etc., for trying to find those creative solutions. We're not there yet. It's an ongoing process. And so that's what this motion is about. I'll be talking more about it at the region on the advocacy side, and the report back to council before the Region of Peel's final draft will show more improvements on what we could do as a city with respect to finding that balance. Thanks, Mayor Brown, and I believe you are seconding this motion.
Happy to do so. Motion on the table from Councillor Blushie.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just trying to read through the whole thing is be it resolved.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna need some time to go through it then. Is anything in here directing staff or asking staff to come back to council with kind of the entire scope of the situation that we had entered into? Best practices, costs that were incurred, what to do in the future. Is there something coming back?
That's the last item, I believe.
Chief
Thank
saying
you.
the
If
first
I may,
order.
I can respond to that. Thank
Perfect.
you, Mayor Brown. So the first one is to get a briefing note. So thank goodness our team, Rosneen in particular, has been very good at recording everything that we've been doing so far since January. And so that information is available, and council will receive a briefing note on that, which will be filed as correspondence to the region and here at the City of Brampton at our next council meeting. But item number 8 speaks to a report to talk about things moving forward and improvements that we need to do, or identifying gaps internally, but also in coordination with the region of Peel, Peel Police, and social agencies.
Based off of what we had gone through, correct? Okay, which I'm good with. Just the only financial aspect of it
Yes,
is.
the costs are in the top.
Okay, can we go back to the top, please? So that will be provided in the briefing note?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm good.
All those in favor? Motion carries. And a motion to receive the presentation, moved by Councillor Santos, second by Councillor Plushy. All those in favor of receiving the presentation? Motion carries. Okay, this takes us to our next item, which is which one? Yeah, 10.12, held by Councillor Plushy.
Mr. Mayor, I'm trying to go through this. It probably set me off in a different direction because it was confusing right from the beginning. To stop up and close and surplus declaration of portion of Lagerfield Drive right of way. So I think that stop up and close is confusing. Going through the report and knowing the area very well, a lot of people are using this intersection. A lot of people come from Bovaird down Credit View, and I'm seeing a lot of left turns onto Lagerfield. Is Lagerfield from that intersection being closed during this, or is it just past that? I'd like to try and understand.
Through you, Mayor Brown, through to Councillor Palashi, what I'll do is ask staff to come up and just give a quick summary of the report, better explain the title of Stop Up and Close, and I can ask the clerk to maybe show the map that shows the limits of what is being deemed surplus, if that's.
So I'm not going to put any other councillors through this. What I'll ask is this to be deferred to next council, and in the meantime, we sit down with Councillor Barr and myself to have that.
Okay. All those in favor of the deferral? Carried. This then takes us to also, Councillor Plushy held 10.61. The advanced traffic management system.
Oh, just on the changes. What about GR?
10.61.
GR.
We received that.
I held it.
Yeah, we did. Councillor Santos did her motion, and then we
I
received the
held it.
person.
It should have gone to me for holding it.
We had it under Councillor Santos held.
Real. And sorry, asked for. Shouldn't need
Andre?
2/3. It was an error on your part. It should have gone to me. I'm the one that held it.
Oh, the clerk identified Councillor Santos as holding it.
I'm the one that held it.
Yeah, I think we've lost the.
I think we're talking enough about it that they're coming back.
So we'll-
Sorry, I don't even need them.
Okay.
I just need Steve.
Okay, the question is Steve. I see a consensus to 2/3 to Councillor Plushy to reopen. Yep. Question to Steve.
Through you, Mayor Brown, through to Councillor.
Sorry, I'm waiting for my mic to be turned on. I'll tee it up for you, Steve. So tomorrow we have our regional growth forecast. For members of council that don't know, the Region of Peel and the City of Brampton have never met our growth forecasts. It seems that we've had, the consultant working on the growth management, population numbers same one for 20 some odd years, I think, at the region. I'm of the mind that, with changes in the provincial legislation and having us handle planning, that, we shouldn't be putting this forward through at the region. I'm happy to see that the city staff have now suggested deferring the report. I'm not sure what will happen at tomorrow. I suspect that one municipality definitely does not want to defer the report. Hopefully, the one to the south does want to, though. And if Steve, can you touch on why staff is recommending deferring the report, and what has kind of been accomplished up to now, and what are we looking at doing in terms of our planning, Mississauga's planning, and municipal affairs and housing?
Chair, through you, Mayor Brown, through to Councillor Pelletier. So as a reminder, as of July 1st of this year, upper tier planning responsibilities has been transferred to the 3 local municipalities in Peel, along with other regions in the province. As of yesterday, the CEO, myself, and Chris Ether met with our counterparts at the region and the 3 area local municipalities to talk about how we continue to work forward, going forward. One of the areas that still require clarity between Brampton, Mississauga, and the province and the region is around growth forecasting and growth management. The report that is going before Regional Council tomorrow recommends 2 growth forecast scenarios, Scenario 1 and Scenario 2. And while staff at a technical level have been working on those scenarios, it's in my opinion that the adoption of any scenario tomorrow is premature until staff have the opportunity to discuss further with the province and the region on the roles and responsibilities as it relates to growth management and infrastructure planning. In particular, because we have yet to hear from the region on what the implication could be in terms of the transfer of roads, regional roads, and water wastewater. In addition to that, if I could quickly just touch on the work that's been done to date since leading up to July 1st, and since then, myself, along with my counterparts at the commissioner level of planning at Caledon and Mississauga, formed a sort of a working group whereby we meet on a regular basis to exchange ideas and move forward to ensure that SOPs and procedures are consistent, so there's no miscommunication with members of the industry and the public. But this particular issue around growth management and growth forecasting, in my mind, needs some further discussions with the area municipalities in the province.
Thanks, Steve. Now this is an update on those forecasts, and when will this be coming to Regional Council to set direction for forecasts, or that's what we don't know?
Through you, Mayor Brown, through to Councillor Pelletier. So tomorrow's report is a recommendation report to set that direction. That's why I'm suggesting that it's premature for members of Brampton Council or regional members to endorse that until we have those conversations. I would also add that in a conversation yesterday, the planning commissioner from Mississauga has also sort of echoed the same concerns and sentiment as me, and I understand he'll be briefing Mississauga's mayor for the same.
Okay. So maybe a conversation between you and the southern mayor?
So we had a conference call on this.
Okay.
Yeah, at the CEOs, the planning commissioners, and the mayors have all discussed.
And are we all on the same?
They haven't, Mississauga hasn't stated their position yet, but there feels like there's alignment, but they said they needed time to review.
Okay. Okay, so we all just want to be on the same page when we go in tomorrow, right?
Ideally, if everyone could listen to the guidance that has been sent to us from Commissioner Ganesh, that would be helpful.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to move your seat.
Okay. All those in favor of receiving the government relations report again, carries. Okay, just back to 10.61, Councillor Pelletier, Advanced Traffic Management System. You said there might be a change.
Yeah, so we deferred this from last committee meeting, and staff are coming back with changing that 8-year to a 2-year. Wasn't sure if anybody had any questions, but didn't want that to just go into consent. It's a big change. We're all good? Thumbs up? Excellent. 2-year, with 1-year option.
Yes.
Yep. Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe it's 10 one-year options. Is that correct? Yeah.
Through the chair to Mayor Brown, that's correct.
We have
10 1-year options.
The city has that.
2-year is a 2-year
Fixed term
fixed term, and then 10 1-year options.
at the city's discretion. Correct.
How much extra money is that costing now? How do we potentially forecast it?
Through the chair to Councillor Palashi, we don't foresee that costing any additional money. The costs for those years would just be for the maintenance of the system that we would be paying regardless of the system. So it just provides the city the flexibility. If it wants to opt out of using this particular system and explore other technologies, it gives us the ability to do that. We would then come to committee with a report advising as to the pros and cons and any costs to go to a new system. But in terms of any additional cost to the city to exercise those option years, it wouldn't be any additional cost.
So what was the additional cost for that 1 year after the 10 or after the 8?
The exact same amount.
Exact same amount as these additional 10 years?
Correct.
Or 10 1 years. Okay, thanks.
So I believe staff was able to realize the concern council had, which
For
is
sure.
if technology changes and evolves, we have an exit ability, and I think staff have successfully brought that forward. Councillor Basante?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Since it's been brought up, if we could just ask the commissioner just to explain the reasoning behind the 2 years.
Absolutely. The previous report identified a fixed term that was in line with what we anticipate the term will be that we will be using the system. However, after the discussion at committee, last committee meeting, we are going with a 2-year fixed term that will allow us to purchase the system, integrate the system with respect to all our traffic signal controllers. And once that system is implemented, we will then proceed with exercising optional years going forward, just paying a relatively small amount for the maintenance of the system. But again, it provides us that flexibility to opt out if we choose to do so.
Okay, great. Motion moved by Councillor Palashi, second by Councillor Vicente. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to item 15.1, Councillor Santos on Maudlin Way. Ceremonial street name.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. So we am requesting members of council to reopen this particular resolution. It's just tidying up because we forgot in the motion to add an apostrophe S. It should be Modelin's Way, not Modelin Way. So just a request to reopen the motion so that we can fix the typo.
Okay, moved by, motion to reopen. All those in favor, motion carries. The fixing the typo.
Fixing the typo to add the apostrophe S, so it says Modelin's Way, not Modelin Way.
Great. Moved by Councillor Santos, second by Councillor Vassanti. All those in favor, motion carries.
Thank you.
This takes us to, we already dealt with 15.2. So this takes us to, I believe we only have 2 items left. The 19, new business, 16.2, new business added by Councillor Palashi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In trying to work with staff and trying to get these wood chips out of our parks, we have witnessed firsthand a wood chip going right through a child's sandal, and this is becoming more of an issue. So I really want us to, I want to be able to set the direction to say all future parks from this point on, or prior to being built point on, are going to be the recycled rubber surface going forward. I also want a strategy to change all the sand parks, because we know that sand is an issue, glass, syringes, all kinds of stuff are being found in sand, and wood chips across the city to be changed. Really want a strategy, and more than 15 years from now is not a strategy to me. So I want something a little bit sooner, a little bit tighter, and I would like to provide that direction to staff through you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I think Councillor Tour is looking to jump on to this as well.
Councillor Tour. Thank you, Councillor Palashi, for putting forward this item. I'd be happy to second what you're putting forward. I know I do communicate with staff regularly about this. Part of our upgrades to parks has been either changing from sand to wood chip or from wood chip to rubber, depending on where they are. I think only 4 parks or maybe 5 that are left in Ward 9 and 10 are just still sand. But every single park, again, wants the rubber surfacing. I agree with the idea that when now there's going to be a lot of housing that gets built in Ward 10, similar to the west side there. With new parks that we develop, I think that should be part of that plan, is that new parks by default just go to rubber. The same thing with the gazebos. We're upgrading our gazebos down. Like, you go to the park. Last weekend I was back, I've been back on ground now this summer, visiting the parks. Last weekend our parks were just jam-packed. Like, just the sheer amount of kids, seniors, lots of community programming. It's amazing to see because people are finally fully outdoors, being very active. But then I understand the challenges sometimes that we're waiting for the play structures to be replaced, for the playgrounds to be replaced, then we do the rubber mats. And sometimes they're not due for like another 10-15 years. So if we can look at a way that we can maybe expedite this, but also for new development, if we can just incorporate that from day one, that this should be the standard we're going with, that would be great.
Okay, Councillor Santos.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm as Chair of Community Services, Vice Chair of Community Services, Councillor Brar, we get regular updates from Ed Fagan, who's the Parks Director, Angelo, as well as Commissioner Boyes on these particular matters. I believe Mayor Brown, through you, Mr. Chair, to staff, I believe you passed a motion to replace all sand to rubber. Is that correct? Over to staff during the budget process?
Through the mayor, that's correct. There's about $1 million allocated to increase sand conversion to rubber surfacing, in addition to all the other playground replacements. Just for awareness, we have about 54 remaining sand parks to be converted and 170 mulch parks. So we can bring back a strategy and a timeline and do that if council wishes in advance of budget. So you'll have an indication of the money and provide a couple options in terms of time frame.
Okay. Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. So there has been work already be done on this stuff. With regards to timelines and the replacement of playgrounds versus the rubber surfacing, I'll give you an example in my ward. For example, Lakelands Village Park has wood mulch, and residents want the wood mulch replaced. So what I've asked staff, Ed and Angelo and Bill, was what is the timing to replace that playground? Because to replace the mulch to rubber surfacing is about $250,000 to $300,000. The replacement of that playground is in 2026. Now, if I were to say I want the mulch replaced now, that's a sunk cost of $300,000 for next year, only for it to be ripped out with a new playground replaced with rubber surfacing again. And so I think that I think strategically and financially prudently, it would be good to look at those various timelines, because I ask those questions in my parks in my area, to make sure that we are not wasting our money, especially when there's playgrounds that are going to be replaced or scheduled to be replaced within the next couple of years. I went back to the residents and shared with the residents that this is the situation, and they were understanding. So I think that we are doing stuff. Councillor Brar and I were briefed regularly on these things. We are doing stuff, and the report back on a strategy, maybe just fine-tuning that a little bit, and communicating in your update meetings with the various ward pairings on that timeline would probably help a little more.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Santos. And I think what we're hearing from council is we're eager to have a more ambitious timeline, and if in the briefing note we could share with all the parks you identified that require the conversion, that timeline could be identified in that briefing note for all 50 plus conversions that are necessary, and then if members of council feel that any of those timelines aren't ambitious enough, then we can, and the cost, and then we can adjust it based on the briefing memo that we're going to get. But just this weekend, I was at a park where I heard the same concern about the wood chips, and so I think there is complete consensus around this table of where we want to go. Let's just figure out what the timeline and the cost to achieve that stated goal is. Councillor Pellecci.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just want to ensure that, all future parks are being put in with the rubber recycled surface. So we have a park that's not even assumed yet, and it has wood chips. And it doesn't even look like wood chips. It looks a little more like branches. But I know that's the developer that's put that in, built that park and did that. So let's see if we can, Emerald Coast, let's see if we can go back to ones like those and have them replace it with rubber surface. Because when we asked, when the residents had, and we understand 2026, it's around the corner. But when staff come to us and say it won't be changed till 2041, not good enough, right?
Through the mayor.
So we have to develop the strategy and get this done.
Yeah, through the mayor, we'll bring a comprehensive report back, and also understanding council's desire to not have any more sand and or mulch playgrounds.
Amazing. Thanks, Chief.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Public question period. Are there any, the clerk, any questions submitted during the course of today's meeting or in the gallery? No? Okay. That takes us to bylaws. I have a motion moved by Councillor Pellecci, seconded by Councillor Power, to approve bylaws 107, 2024 to 126, 2024, inclusive. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to our closed session business. We have items 19.3 and 19.4 in camera to address, and in the interest of continuing public transparency, any action arrived at in camera will be reported out in public session. I'm going to suggest we take our lunch break now and then meet back in camera. Sort of a question from our planning commissioner.
But I don't want to speak for council.
Correct. So 4 and 5, sorry, my apologies. 19.4, 19.5 were held. So is half an hour adequate for council?
Half an hour adequate for staff.
Staff, council? Okay, so let's return back at 1:45, make it a healthy 35 minutes. 1:45 in boardroom 4A this time? Or 6. Okay, so to council, it's on the 6th floor, we're meeting Welcome back to public session. To our clerk, are we ready? In the continuing interest of transparency and open government, I will report in public session any outcomes from today's closed session business. As a result of closed session today, I wish to report the following. 19.4. An item was considered and direction was given. 19.5, no action was. It was just a.
It was direction to staff.
Direction to staff, okay. Okay, that takes us to our confirming bylaw. I have a motion moved by Councillor Brar and seconded by Councillor Pelesci to approve the confirming bylaw to confirm the proceedings and decisions from this meeting. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to adjournment. Our last item of business is item 21, adjournment. Our next scheduled council meeting is not until September 11th, but I would note we generally have an August planning meeting, and I don't like those planning minutes to be pending, and so it's been my practice that we call the council meeting around that to ratify the decisions of planning, because we like shovels in the ground in this city, and no delays. So that may be a possibility in August, just for awareness for everyone. And I have spoken to Councillor Pelesci about that, about whether it'll be needed. And we'll give everyone as much guidance as possible. Yes, Councillor Pelesci needs to speak to Commissioner Ganesh. So the motion is moved by Councillor Santos, second by Councillor Tour, to adjourn today's meeting. All those in favor? Motion carries.